I meant it when I said you come a long way. You ready to learn?
NCIS Origins is all new. CBS in 2 weeks. The FBI's are all new. CBS Tuesday 8.
NCIS shakes things up, a heartbreaking twist and a game-changing exit. Get ready for an emotional roller coaster as NCIS Origins sets the stage for another major heartbreak in the flagship series. Meanwhile, Gary Cole reveals the smart strategy behind Mark Harmon's exit, which paved the way for Alden Parker's rise. Plus, big news for NCIS, Sydney fans, Season 2 is coming sooner than you think, but on a surprising new night. Don't miss these must-see updates. Hey, lovely viewers, welcome to our channel Shows Update. NCIS Origins sets up another major heartbreak in the flagship show. The latest NCIS spin-off, NCIS Origins, is heating up, and it's setting the stage for a major heartbreak. The series follows Austin Stoll as Leroy Jethro Gibbs, detailing the special agent's past as he was getting his sea legs at NIS. Gibbs' career change from Marine Corps gunnery sergeant to rookie NIS agent happened after the death of his wife and child, which occurred at the end of his deployment in Operation Desert Storm. The NCIS Origins story explores the tragedy that causes Gibbs to join the agency and reveals heart-wrenching details from his past. Since it is a prequel series, there's a lot we already know about the fates of certain NCIS Origins characters. The series revives Muse Watson's Mike Franks, played by Kyle Schmid in NCIS Origins. Likewise, Special Agent Vera Strickland, Diane Rodriguez, is a character who hails from the flagship. And although much less is established about her character, she has a huge personality. Despite all the fascinating prequel elements, there is inevitable heartbreak on the horizon, extending far beyond what happened to Gibbs' wife and daughter in NCIS. NCIS confirms that Vera's profiling project didn't go anywhere. Vera Strickland is in NCIS and NCIS Origins. In NCIS Origins Episode 5, Vera is creating a profiling program to help NIS use data about criminal offenses to identify their most likely suspect. The program creates tension in the prequel and highlights conflicts between Vera and Franks. Vera needs approval for her program from Special Agent in Charge Cliff Wheeler, Patrick Fischler. During the meeting that she's prepared for, Franks barges in. The disruption causes the meeting to end early, with Cliff explaining they don't have the funding. Vera is understandably upset that Franks stole the moment she had to convince Wheeler to fund her program. Mike and Vera's conflict in Episode 5 shows why Vera has distanced herself from the leader but hasn't given the whole picture. The instance highlights the existing tension between Franks and Vera. The original NCIS series says they are partners. However, Vera isn't on Mike's team in NCIS Origins. Their conflict in Episode 5 shows why Vera has distanced herself from the leader but hasn't given the whole picture. Still, Franks put a good word in for Vera's program, which gets approved. In Episode 6, Agent Strickland celebrates her program's success with Mary Jo, Tyla Abercrombie, and Lala Dominguez, Mariel Molino. Still, sadly, we know from NCIS that the program didn't go anywhere since it's never mentioned. Everything we know about Vera's future from NCIS. Roma Mafia plays Vera Strickland in NCIS Season 11. The trajectory of Vera's career is just one of the NCIS Origins outcomes that the original show foretells. Vera Strickland first appears in NCIS Season 11, Episode 3, Under the Radar, at the end of her NCIS career. The appearance reveals that Vera is Mike Franks' last partner in his NCIS career. Vera's existence in the original series confirms that she will live through the NCIS Origins prequel, which isn't guaranteed for all its characters, considering their line of work. For instance, Lala Dominguez isn't mentioned in NCIS, meaning her fate could be another heartbreak in NCIS Origins. Glenn Powell credits NCIS for keeping his career alive during a low point. Actor Glenn Powell had a few small roles before he landed big parts in films like Anyone But You, Twister, and Top Gun, with one of them being NCIS. Glenn Powell is now the star of various blockbuster movies, but before his career surge, he was a struggling actor. Like many actors, the road to stardom wasn't an easy one. The star of Anyone But You had a few small roles at the beginning of his career, appearing in films like Spy Kids 3D, Game Over and The Dark Knight Rises. But in 2012, Glenn appeared on the hit drama NCIS, which helped him during a slump in his work. He spoke to Vanity Fair magazine about how that small part saved him financially. NCIS star Mark Harmon's famous father didn't pay him for his humiliating first acting job. NCIS, Tony and Ziva fans notice star missing from a behind-the-scenes pic, as they beg for mini-spoiler. That's the other interesting thing about this business right now, how much it's changing, Glenn said to the magazine. The business no longer supports struggling actors the way it did when I was kind of coming up. I would do an episode of NCIS, and that would keep me afloat for a year. You know what I mean? The way they did it was smart. NCIS Gary Cole opens up on how Mark Harmon's exit led to the creation of Alden Parker. There was a time when it seemed impossible for NCIS to keep going without Mark Harmon leading the charge as Leroy Jethro Gibbs. Then in season 18, there were rumblings that Harmon was getting up to leave the popular CBS show, and he ultimately did just that after the first 4 episodes of season 19. But NCIS still goes on, with season 22 airing on the 2024 TV schedule, and Gary Cole's Alden Parker taking over as team leader immediately after Gibbs' departure. But it wasn't an abrupt transition from one character to the other, and Gary Cole talked about how much he liked that while recalling the creation of Parker. Gary Cole was pleased with the transition from Gibbs to Parker. Gary Cole visited off-duty, an NCIS rewatch to chat with hosts Michael Weatherly and Cote DePablo, who will reprise their characters, Tony DiNozzo and Ziva David, for the streaming exclusive spin-off NCIS, Tony and Ziva, for the podcast season finale. Here's what the actor had to say about how things unfolded after Mark Harmon decided he didn't want to be in NCIS anymore. Gary Cole was pleased with the transition from Gibbs to Parker. Gary Cole visited off-duty, an NCIS rewatch to chat with hosts Michael Weatherly and Cote DePablo, who will reprise their characters, Tony DiNozzo and Ziva David, for the streaming exclusive spin-off NCIS, Tony and Ziva, for the podcast season finale. Here's what the actor had to say about how things unfolded after Mark Harmon decided he didn't want to be in NCIS anymore. Mark, I guess, wanted to leave, and when that was discussed or came up, and I don't know when it actually came up, it came up somewhere between season 18 and 19, they weren't sure what they were going to do there. There was talk that they would just end it. And from what I heard, I don't know why he would be surprised by that because it could have been a possibility. But then he agreed to begin the 19th year and do 4 shows while they brought in this other character. And I think the way they did it was smart, because rather than him leaving and then one day there's a knock on the door. Hi, I'm the new guy. We did shows together involved in the same case. He worked for the FBI and they were working in tandem and they had conflict and all. Executive producer Charles Floyd Johnson admitted in 2023 that he and others initially thought Mark Harmon leaving NCIS was the death knell, though fortunately that didn't happen. Even better, rather than just take off after season 18, Harmon stuck around for the first few season 19 episodes, which allowed for a smoother transition from Gibbs to Parker. The latter was introduced as an FBI agent who met Gibbs while they were investigating the same perpetrator, though Gibbs was doing so as a private citizen. While Parker was later tasked with arresting Gibbs, he allowed him to go free in Alaska, which resulted in him being fired from the FBI. NCIS, Sydney gets Season 2 premiere date, on new night. The first international edition of the very popular NCIS franchise was a hit in the 2023 to 2024 season. And now, Sydney is coming back. NCIS, Sydney was part of CBS's primetime schedule last fall, when, due to the writers' and actors' strikes, there wasn't much in terms of scripted content, and took over the mothership's old-time slot, Tuesdays at August 7th c. NCIS moved to Mondays at September 8th c in Season 19. After the finale aired in January, it was renewed in March. The global power of the NCIS franchise became even stronger on broadcast and streaming with the addition of NCIS, Sydney, said Amy Reisenbach, president of CBS Entertainment, at the time. Our American viewers have fully embraced these engaging characters, unique stories and the fabulous Australian scenery. We are thrilled to bring this show back to CBS next season and spend even more time down under. Below, we're keeping track of everything we know about Season 2 of the international spin-off. Where did NCIS, Sydney Season 1 leave off? The season ended with a couple of cliffhangers. First of all, to get his kidnapped son back, J.D. Todd Lazen's agreed to a swap of a wanted criminal, Georgina Haig's anonymous, not her real name, note how it sounds like anonymous, the team had been chasing all season. In order to save his son, he trusted Anna with a gun, and she used it to first kill the kidnapper then take control of the situation, ultimately leaving him alive but taking his keys and a gun in her escape. Meanwhile, back at HQ, Mackie, Olivia Swan, was stunned when JD called a number on the kidnapper's phone a friend. You might be surprised who answers, Anna said, and the phone of the Department of Defense's Rankin, Louis Fitzgerald, rang. When will NCIS, Sydney Season 2 premiere? NCIS, Sydney is not only changing nights for its second season, it's also part of a couple moves for Fridays. NCIS, Sydney will be taking over the Friday, August 7th c time slot, beginning on January 31st, 2025. Meanwhile, SWAT, which airs then now, will be moving to October 9th c on Fridays, with Blue Bloods ending its 14-season run on December 13th. Fire Country will remain at September 8th c. Who's returning for NCIS, Sydney Season 2? Since we haven't heard otherwise, it seems safe to assume that Olivia Swan. NCIS Special Agent Michelle Mackie, Todd Lazen's, AFP Sergeant Jim, J.D. Dempsey, Sean Sauger, NCIS Special Agent Deshaun Jackson, Tully Narkle, AFP Constable Evie Cooper, Maverney Hazel, AFP Forensic Scientist Bluebird Blue Gleason, and William McInnes, AFP Forensic Pathologist Dr. Roy Penrose, are all returning. What's NCIS, Sydney Season 2 about? No details have been released yet. It's safe to assume that Season 2 will have to address the aforementioned cliffhangers of the Season 1 finale while the team of US NCIS agents and the Australian Federal Police continue to keep naval crimes in check in the most contested patch of ocean on the planet. Is there a Season 2 trailer? Not yet, but bookmark this page for continued updates. Thanks for watching this videos. Please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up.